Hello guys, welcome here to a new episode of Out of Turn 4. Um, Post-Daytona edition, and I'm having to record Tuesday morning because the races got delayed. Of course, as I've said in the past, and I will say it again for those who are new to the program, anytime a race is delayed, it will not delay the episode, okay? So I do want to make that clear. So if the race didn't get off yesterday afternoon or last night in the case of the Xfinity Series like it was supposed to, I was not going to delay taping. Okay, I can delay taping. I will not delay the premiere of the episode. So if it gets to Tuesday and we don't have a race to talk about, I'm just going to wing it. It might be a 5-minute episode, but it's going to be an episode. But with that, let's get into it. Let's talk the Truck Series at Daytona. And boy, another freaking mess in that series. Seriously. Truck is turning into a higher ranking ARCA at this point. And Nick Sanchez, of course, comes out with the victory. It's his first career Truck Series win. Of course, he came so close at Texas last year. And then, of course, Carson Hocevar went on to win that. So great result for Nick Sanchez, and congratulations to him and that team. I know how hard they've worked to get to this point, to get the win. And hey, that finally happened for him. I'm glad to see him get over this hump. And also, he was one of my drivers to watch, I believe, if I recall correctly. So even more reason I'm pretty excited about this. I think it's a good win for him and a good start to the year. One guy who's had great starts to the year for the last two, now a third year in a row, is Austin Hill in the Xfinity side. And he goes on to win his third straight Xfinity Series season opener at Daytona. Who's got an answer for him? Anybody at all got an answer for Austin Hill at Daytona, Talladega, and now Atlanta? He's just, oh my gosh, he is just a phenomenal plate racer. There's no other way to put it. He's just a phenomenal plate racer. He makes it work. He makes it happen. And every year he just comes to Daytona, no matter how strong, Joe Gibbs looks, no matter how strong Junior Motorsports looks. He just goes out there and embarrasses them. They can upend their entire team. And Blaine Perkins, man, for a while in that race looked real strong. Same with Ryan Sieg. I mean, we expect that from Ryan Sieg, but Blaine Perkins putting up that kind of run at Daytona, that was shocking, okay? That was surprising. That was fun to watch. All the above. So, congratulations to Austin Hill, but man, you feel for Blaine Perkins there, having a strong run. Could have had the win, I should say. Could have had the win. He looked strong enough to do it. Again, I know I didn't list Austin Hill as one of my favorites to watch. I'm not going to say I'm wrong, but I'm going to say this. I think at some point when he's been with RCR for 3 straight years, when he's clearly been in the championship hunt, I don't think I need to stress it, okay? I don't think I need to stress it. It's the same with AJ Allmendinger. I didn't list him on my drivers to watch either on the Xfinity side, and look at where that went. So I will say Austin Hill, AJ Allmendinger, it just goes without saying, whether people like it or not. But I don't think anybody's got an answer for him. I'm being totally honest. I don't think anybody in the garage has an answer for him. And I don't think they're going to. But again, we go to Atlanta next week. Stay tuned. The pick will come later. And then William Byron, Willie B. This one came from left field, man. I think Hendrick at this point said, you know what? We like having the Daytona pole. We like having the Daytona front row. Let's focus on race trim this year. And if we don't get the pole, we'll manage. We'll be fine. We don't need it. I think that's what happened, strategy-wise. Because, man, we were saying, Hendrick, man, something's not right there. I mean, I thought, man, I just don't know. I don't think that Hendrick is going to be unbeatable this year when it comes to single car runs. I had said that, I think, since the start, but they proved me wrong. They win at Daytona, and, late race wreck again, but I believe 4 cautions is the fewest in quite a handful of years, is what I read somewhere. So that's good. We finished it in regulation too. And of course, keep in mind though, the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series were both postponed to Monday. Of course, the Cup race started it off at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and it led immediately, or not immediately, but shortly after, to the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Daytona over on FS1. So I know some people are upset with the lead-in. Personally, I mean, I don't get why Daytona for the Xfinity Series isn't on Fox. I get, trying to push FS1, but that's the one thing I never understood in Fox's tenure. And of course, it is Fox's last year covering the NASCAR Xfinity Series, because after this year, the Xfinity Series moves over to the CW. So I'm sure people are happy about that they won't have to watch races on FS1 and on NBC or on USA Network. But all I can say is, I will say this. I didn't watch much of the 500. I was coaching in a game yesterday. I didn't watch much of the Xfinity race because I got home from games and I was exhausted. So, and of course had a little bit too much to deal with. So, what I will say is what I've seen, of the highlights I've seen, and of the things I've seen from Fox, I think honestly, even through Speed Weeks, I think Fox has kind of stepped it up this year. I think they're setting the tone early, trying to, show signs that they want to improve. I think they finally see that their image is not well perceived. So I think we're slowly seeing the effort change here. I think we're slowly seeing the effort get a little bit better. We're seeing them sort of step up a notch, which needs to happen. It has to. Okay, absolutely 100% has to. They have been abysmal. Last year, it opened my eyes to how bad Fox was. But Harvick being in the booth with Boyer and Mike Joy, I saw Mike Joy's call of one of the crashes, and, needless to say, it definitely looks like he has a newfound energy for the racing. Boyer seemed a little more tame. Harvick seemed really good for them, and Harvick was a good fit for them, I think. And like I said, he's going to make the broadcast better. I like that little cone over the cars to show who was involved. That's pretty neat. The gyro cam coming back, even more neat, and I think it's going to be great for tracks like Atlanta, and obviously Talladega, Daytona, but Atlanta, it could be fun to watch. So, I think, the effort's there, the quality will get better. That's what I think. And again, my opinions on NBC. If you've watched this show long enough here on Tinkle Sports and Entertainment, you know my thoughts on NBC and their coverage. So, I will not get into it here, but I will say, though, regardless of what Fox does, it'll always slightly beat NBC. And the fact that they kept the Daytona 500 on the main network, they made it work. And, of course, again, the commercials. What can I say? Crank it up on the pit stops, I read somewhere, too. I agree with that. You know what, though? I think that's pretty neat, too. I'm just going to say that. I think that's neat. Whether it was intentional, unintentional, who cares? I think it's still neat, but overall, everything I've seen, the racing looked good. It looked like a good race. The Truck Series was the only one I got complaints about. They got to do something about the Truck Series. Seriously. Like, before it turns in... Otherwise, you might as well just rebrand it under the ARCA name. Because, this is just horrendous. Horrendous behavior by these truck drivers. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be shocked if Matt Crafton retires soon, because I'm sure the vets like Matt Crafton, Grant Enfinger, and others have about had enough. I guarantee you they've had about enough of this shit show that Trucks is becoming. Just rebrand it to the ARCA Truck Series, because that's what it looks like out there. So, end rant there. On the weekend, let's get into the news. And we have IndyCar news this week. Of course, we have IndyCar returning to action in just a few short weeks, and it may be without one of its rising stars. David Malukas has broken his hand going mountain biking as the IndyCar opener looms. His status for St. Pete is up in the air, but if you have any questions about who might be driving the car, it appears that McLaren has kind of made that choice clear. Callum Ilott, of course, used to race for Juncos Hollinger Racing, now racing in the WEC while he awaits another shot at IndyCar. He came in and did the test with the hybrid system for McLaren's IndyCar team. Obviously, first thought is I hope Malukas gets better. I get, again, these drivers got lives. They want to, be out and about and doing extreme sport. Like some of them want to do the extreme stuff. Some of them still want to be active. And I'm not mad about that. Look, IndyCar doesn't have a playoff. But my whole thing, and I think I've said it before with the Chase Elliott situation, with the Alex Bowman situation, I'm not saying drivers shouldn't be allowed to live their lives. Okay, but I'm saying they have to realize the consequences of it for their teams. Like, I'm sorry, and I've said it for NASCAR. If Chase Elliott got hurt last year and made the playoffs, and I said the same thing about Kyle Busch, you shouldn't be given a waiver. Well, actually, I think it differs from Kyle Busch now that I think of it. Look, if you get injured racing in a sanctioned series by that sport, you should be given a waiver. If you're racing in a non-sanctioned series, if you're just doing this on your own time, you shouldn't be given a waiver. You got hurt on your own time. You didn't get hurt on NASCAR's time. Okay? You gotta understand that. And look, and again, there's sponsorship obligations on the NASCAR side for those guys. For IndyCar, the punishment's on the wall. Okay? The writing's on the wall. You mess up, you're going to cost your team a championship. End of story. Okay? And Malukas, again, I hope he recovers quick. I imagine he won't be racing at St. Pete, but, hopefully, maybe eventually he'll be good to go. And, before St. Pete, obviously, but that would be the hopeful thing, but I just don't see it happening. Again, the writing's on the wall. I mean, IndyCar's not going to give you last place points just to keep you in the battle. There's no double points anymore. So, you mess up, you hurt your team. And that's about the best I can say about it. He did it on his own time. So, he's got to pay the consequences for it. But on to the next story, and this one is the final one, I believe. Takuma Sato has announced he will return to the Indianapolis 500 this upcoming season with Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. It is a reunion of sorts. Of course, Takuma Sato did win, I believe, his first Indy 500 or second Indy 500 with Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. And this is a big sign. This is a power signing, I think, for Bobby Rahal. and David Letterman and company. This is a power signing because, I mean, we look back at last year and, obviously Graham Rahal missed the race, then ended up racing for Cusick in Dreyer and Reinbold, filling in for the injured Justin Wilson. But, again, how far off those cars were on pace, unacceptable. Unacceptable. There's no reason that Takuma Sato should have been, that Catherine Legg should have been the one locked in, or the fastest of the RLL cars in 29th. Okay, so they needed to go back to the drawing boards. They need to figure out, obviously, their Indianapolis package, and I'm glad they're going to be able to do that now with Takuma. And again, Takuma's a former winner, so he is going to help this team. And of course, he raced for Ganassi last year, and now he's going to be one of the executives at Honda Racing. So who better to fix it than Takuma Sato? I'd trust him. He's a 2-time winner of the race. Already won one with your team. So I like this signing. I like to see where this is going to go, how this is going to play out. Because now, with that signing, I don't think there's a way that all 4 of the Rahal cars are battling for the 3 final spots, or 3 for battling for 3, or whatever have you at that point. I think this now puts an end to that. We will see the Rahals in the Indy 500. And I think running strong again, because, again, Takuma, if anyone can help that out, it's Takuma. So we will see, and obviously the Indy 500, 3 months away. So let's continue to build the hype for that. All right, and with that, let's make our picks for the upcoming race weekend at Atlanta Superspeedway. Corey Heim, I'm going to pick for the Truck Series. I think it's going to be another wreck fest, and I'm probably going to come on here, rip the glasses off, and make a very strong case again. Xfinity Atlanta, I'm sticking with the hot hand. Austin Hill, I picked against him last week. I'm not picking against him this week. And then the Cup Series in Atlanta, I think the winless streak ends, guys. I mean, Hendrick looked strong at Daytona. I think they can carry it over to Atlanta, and I think Chase Elliott can get the job done. So I'm picking Chase Elliott. He's going to end his winless streak. He's going to get back to victory lane this upcoming weekend. So I did want to do an off-season news show. I don't know if I'll do that just yet, but possibly late this week, early next week would be the ideal time. Again, I got to find time to record. It's been really difficult lately. I'm actually just carving this out today to be able to get it up for you guys. So pay attention to the channel. It might come out, it might not. And we'll see. Like I said, if I don't get it out this week or next, it's just not going to happen. So, again, just keep your eyes peeled to TSC, and we'll be back next week with another edition of Out of Turn 4 here on the YouTube side of things. So until then, goodbye everyone.